YouTubers to our channel, the Wisco Wanderers. In this video, we're going to talk just a little bit about our travel plans on the Appalachian Trail. We won't get real specific, we'll save that for a later time.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves a little bit first and talk a little bit about why we're deciding to do this adventure.
So on the trail, I'm going to use a name that was given to me a little bit by high school or elementary school friends, and then it evolved into a nickname given to me by my nieces and nephews and some of my in-laws. And the name was Uncle Buck from the movie with John Candy. So you may not hear the full Uncle Buck name, but UB for short. And Deb, have you come up with a name yet?
I do not have a trail name, and so this was where I would defer to my audience to make a suggestion for me.
Now, until she comes up with a name, I do have a pet name for her that I call her frequently, and that is Pure Beauty, or I'll call her PB for short, so kind of like UB and PB. So as long as she doesn't come up with a name, that's what it's going to be when we get on the trail. I'm a retired healthcare worker, retired August of 2022, although I've been working a lot of PRN as needed hours. And Deb, what did you do for a living?
I'm a retired school teacher, also retired in 2022 at the end of the school year, which would make that a June retirement instead of August. But I've done a lot of things since then, and many of my friends and family would say that I haven't actually really retired. But for this trip, no working.
So a little bit about the Appalachian Trail. This year actually is the commemoration of the 100th year of the Appalachian Trail. Since it was originally laid out. And of course, it's been altered and adjusted over the years. Deb, do you know how many miles the Appalachian Trail is?
It is roughly 2,200 miles from Georgia to Mount Katahdin in Maine. Exactly 2,197.4 miles. You looked it up.
Yep, from Springer Mountain, Georgia, just north of Atlanta, all the way up to Mount Katahdin in Maine at Baxter State Park in Maine. The distance covers 14 states. So I think if we're successful and we get quite a few miles under our belt, we will be letting you know when we transition from one state to the other. With that in mind, maybe Pure Beauty here can fill us in on the kind of hike that we're going to do.
Okay, so we are planning to do a flip-flop hike. And basically what that means is you start somewhere in the middle and you head either north or south. And in our case, we're going to head north. So we will start at Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and head north to Mount Katahdin in Maine. And then if we achieve that goal, then we will go back to Harpers Ferry and then head south to Georgia. That's assuming we still have the stamina to keep going.
Yep, and so we'll reevaluate when we get to the halfway point. It's not quite halfway from Harpers Ferry, West Virginia to Katahdin. Is a little bit lengthier than it is from Harpers Ferry back down to Georgia. But it's pretty close. One of the reasons of doing a flip-flop hike, three big ones, is the weather. If you take the typical weather starting in late April, early May, and heading north, you're really going to take advantage of the best weather possible. Of course, there's still going to be some bad weather days, but it gives you the best chance to have good weather and temperatures too, not just storms or rain, but I'm talking temperatures, like our highest highs won't be as high as they possibly could be, and the lowest lows won't be as low as they possibly could be. So it'll allow us to carry less clothes. We won't need the heavier stuff for colder temperatures. and maybe it helps us in the hotter times of the year, July, August, where it's just not quite so hot. One of the other reasons for a flip-flop is it keeps us out of what they call the bubble. And the bubble is the largest concentration of through hikers on the trail. They usually will start in February, March in Georgia and head north, just one direction. We will be ahead of that bubble of hikers by a few weeks, and by the time they catch us, if they catch us, some of them will, a lot of them will be thinned out through attrition, and they will have quit the hike from injury, don't want to hike anymore, whatever the reason. And if we can stay out of the bubble of hikers, it makes resupplying, lodging when we do want to get off trail, and shuttle rides, all of this stuff will be easier to accomplish when we're not competing with a lot of other hikers for the same resources. So that's the flip-flop hike, and we'll get into more of it as time goes on. Deb, you want to talk to them about why you want to take on this endeavor?
So a lot of people have been asking, a lot of friends and family have been asking why we want to do it, and it seems like some people are like super excited for us to do it, and other people think that we're totally off our rocker. And all I can say is I have been a walker, hiker, whatever you want to call it, from the time I was a little kid growing up on the farm, and I have just loved it. When I went to college, I would just hike all over town. It didn't matter what time of day or night. I was out walking. I started my college life at UW-La Crosse, and so those of you that are familiar with that area know that there are the bluffs there, and so of course hiking all through the bluffs, as well as the city itself. La Crosse is such a wonderful, wonderful town. But anyway, since then, my first exposure to the Appalachian Trail actually happened right after we were married, and we lived in Virginia Beach. And our very first campground, we're kind of hoping that we stumble across it. It was called Crabtree Falls in Virginia. And the Appalachian Trail, the Blue Ridge Mountains, it was just spectacular. And we only had just time for a sampling of the trail back then, but it really gave me the itch to do something. At that time, it hadn't really occurred to me that I would ever be capable of doing the Appalachian Trail. For me, it just felt like it was something that was so far out of reach that I don't know what kind of person you had to be able to do it, but I never saw myself as that kind of person. So it's going to be very exciting for me to give this a try and see how it works. Probably in the past, would you say 10 to 15 years, we've become more active hikers, especially in the last few years. We've done a lot of hiking on the Ice Age Trail, and we've tried to click off a lot of mileage there. We haven't ever finished it, but that was always something that was on our to-do list. So we were hoping to do the Appalachian Trail last year, but I had an injury, as some of you already know. And so this was a postponement, and now we're getting back to our original plan.
All right, well, there you go. For me, it's just a challenge of it. I've been a high school athlete, always competing, playing intramural basketball leagues, softball leagues, even shuffleboard league one year. So I always liked golf leagues. Yes, golf leagues, which I gave up for this hike, which wasn't easy, but I'm actually looking forward to the hike so much that it's making it much easier to not golf this coming summer. Anywho, with that said, it's just can I do this? I'm not a fast walker. Deb walks about a half a mile an hour faster than I do. But I also think that it's important for me to do my own pace because it really allows me to avoid injury. I've run marathons in the past and really enjoyed that challenge. But one thing was that I just took my time, and finishing was the goal. Not to break any records or to beat any person, just to finish. And that's what this is also, just to finish and get a sense of accomplishment when it's done. So that's really the only reason I'm doing this. And of course, Deb really brought up doing this, and I was kind of lukewarm to it initially, but as time's gone on, I'm really getting pumped up for it. So I'm really excited to get out on the trail. A little factoid about the Appalachian Trail, thought I'd throw this out here. The elevation gain and loss over the course of the entire trail is 464,500 feet. To give you some perspective of what that is it's the equivalent of walking from sea level to the top of Mount Everest and then back down to sea level, doing that 8 times. So when I say that, it sounds almost impossible. But when you spread it out over 3/4 of a year, then it sounds a little more doable. We'll probably be if we succeed, we'll be a little less than 3/4 of a year, but you get the idea.
What do you think is going to be a typical week of hiking? Do you want to describe what that might look like?
So I did plan out the first week just to give my sense of what's going to happen, give myself an idea. So I have the Far Out app, which is an app that you can get of hiking trails throughout maybe the world, the U.S. for sure. And you can map out your days. You can see where the shelters are, where there's
water.
Privies are outhouses, water, resupply areas, trail communities, usually small little towns that have resupply. So you can really get a sense of where everything's at when you look at this Far Out app.
It's really helpful too because a lot of the other thru hikers are also using Far Out, and so they will leave comments about what's coming up in the trail up ahead, as well as like who we could contact to pick us up off, to get us off trail, to take us into town if that's something that we want to do.
So a typical week, so we'll start out walking in the first week about 5 days. We're going to take our time. We're not going to push the miles. It's a big mistake, usually through enthusiasm. I saw that a lot during my marathon training, people going off really fast from the opening gun and they burn out. So our first day is going to be relatively short, a little over 6 miles. And we may get done really early in the day, but we're just going to relax and enjoy the day, whatever's left of it. And then the next day is like 8 miles. The next day is maybe 8 or 7. And it keeps going around that 7 to 9 mile mark every day until day 6. And day 6, we're going to head into a trail community, and we will get a hotel room or a bed and breakfast or maybe a hostel if we want to be in the group thing. And we'll resupply, we'll shower, we'll rest, we'll do laundry. We'll use that time to, my terminology for all this may be not correct, so Deb will have to correct me, but uploading videos that we take on the trail, really we can't do. We can edit them, but we really can't get them on the YouTube channel until we get into town where the Wi-Fi speeds are a little better. And then our videos will be delayed also, so that we're not throwing a whole bunch of them on YouTube all at once. We'll spread them out over a number of days so that it leaves you, what's that?
Scheduled.
No, hanging, cliffhanger. Yeah, you know, it'll
I
just,
knew what you were talking
it'll want
about.
you wanting more and wondering, oh, what is Pure Beauty and Uncle Buck gonna do today? So, anyways,
Everyone's dying to know.
yeah. So expectations or goals, I'd like to stay as injury free as possible. I'd really like to not fall down very often, but I rarely see a hiker who doesn't take a spill eventually, and just hope that you don't fracture anything. If we do get that seriously injured, we do have a GPS Garmin hit the button, sends out through satellite an emergency that we need help at this lat and longitudinal, and they send a team to come get you.
We've learned that sometimes you do get hurt on the trail.
Yeah, her injury that stopped us last year.
Yeah.
We only-
on a trail.
Yeah, it was on a trail. We only had a tenth or two of a mile to go from where she got injured, and it was a lot to get her back to a road where I could then go get the car and pick her up.
Well,
So
it's kind of hard when it's your foot.
yeah.
Anyway.
So our goals, my goal is I would really like to finish the whole thing within a calendar year. So, you know, the upper half that we're doing first would take longer. You know, from what I get, once you get to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and you get into the whites and the greens, the mountain
He's talking
ranges,
about the mountains.
and then of course Mount Katahdin herself. Those are all very slow, difficult hikes. So it should take us longer to do the first half, and it should take us less time, barring injury, to do the lower half. But if everything went well, probably looking at finishing sometime in the mid to late fall.
I know because some of you are probably going to ask, what are we doing with our beloved Eddie? Eddie is 14 years old. There's absolutely no way he could ever make the trip. And our neighbors have wonderfully, actually they volunteered to take Eddie because they love him and they love the interaction that Eddie has with their own dog. So with that, do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope, just real anxious to get going. Tell friends, family, coworkers that you may run into that we have this YouTube channel, and we'd love it if you also left comments. Maybe things we haven't thought of, maybe we take for granted that you might know, but you actually don't. So I'd really like it to be an interactive YouTube channel. So
Our next video will be the equipment breakdown. And then after that, I guess we'll see you on the trail.
see you on the trail.
Happy wanderings.